The copyright of this video belongs to myself, including the accounting problem solutions as well. The process costing are divided into two categories: weighted cost average method and first in, first out method. Company can have many departments. In our example, Ready-Made Desk Limited has two departments, one designing and carpentry department right there, and varnishing and finishing departments. The beginning department, which is the department 1, let's call that department 1, and this is department 2. The department 1 can use a WAC or FIFO. Same thing, department 2 can use WAC and FIFO. Once this is our department 1, once we complete the process in department 1, we transfer that to department 2 again. So let's show that here. So this is our department 1. Let's box it. So you would have our beginning inventory, DM, and conversion cost, and we would have the inventory. Let's say WIP inventory. Let's say maybe we could say beginning inventory, and then we would have units started, and ending inventory, and then if we just simply put underline here, and that would give us unit completed. Perhaps I can say less ending. So this would give us the completed units. Okay, but this is for, usually use it by WAC. The process costing uses WAC method and FIFO method. I'm going to highlight the cells here. In both departments, they would use the same, highlighted in red, okay? Or I could highlight that in cyan, okay? So the both department have the option. A, they can use WAC, weighted average costing method, or FIFO, known as first in, first out method. Once the work is done in department 1, then whatever the units that's completed, the completed units right here, or the completed units right here, whichever method they choose. There are two methods, one right there. I'm going to highlight that in yellow, and this is WAC right there. I'm going to highlight that in green, okay? They would use the same information over here as well, okay? Right there, they would use the same information over here. The only thing is that they would have an additional department, which is the transfer in right here. Okay, that's the only difference. Okay, so you would have a transfer category. If it is 19,000, they would be transferred the completed units, this 19,000. We would transfer this 19,000 unit. Perhaps, this wouldn't be the beginning inventory, but rather be the unit started, 19,000. And then here we would have the unit started, 19,000. So total, you would have 4 departmental possible outcome. A, outcome under WAC, 2 options. So highlighted in green, you can see that right there, 2 options. If we choose FIFO, then we follow highlighted in yellow, okay? Okay, let's go back to our FIFO. We would be working on the same information for all the 4 scenarios, okay? Highlighted in yellow, this is the information that is given to us. We've got the beginning unit 2000, unit started 20,000, ending 3,000. With respect to direct material, we have 2,000 beginning units. I'm going to highlight that in Kion. 80% is complete with respect to direct material, and 30% is complete with respect to conversion cost. The beginning inventory came with this cost. I'm going to highlight that in Kion as well, right there, 100,000 and 60,000. Let's highlight that in purple. Okay, so the beginning inventory came with the cost of total cost of 160,000, and they're categorized direct material 100,000 and conversion cost 60,000. Now, same thing, we have these units right there, and we've got this. We started units with respect to, I'm going to highlight that in Kion. We started 20,000 in this period, right? In I'm going to show you the period in a second, right there. So this 2,000 units right there, I'm going to highlight that in in purple, came from right here, okay? December 31st, 2022. Okay, highlighted in purple. You can see that right there. This is our timeline. If this is our timeline, then we just simply roll over this 2000 over here because we couldn't finish that. You can see it's ending right there, okay? I'm going to highlight that in orange. You can see that, okay? We couldn't finish 2000 units in year 2022. We simply rolled over from the last period to this period, okay? You can see that right there, highlighted in orange, okay? Now, we added this period, this 20,000, highlighted in can. I'm going to show that here. In January 1st, 2023, right there, we work in these cells right there. We added 20,000, okay? At the end of the period, we couldn't finish by the December 31st. We couldn't finish right there. We couldn't finish 3,000 units. I'm going to highlight that in red. Okay. We could not complete that 3,000 units. We simply roll that over, that 3,000 units next year in January 1st, 2024. Okay. So this is our timeline highlighted in green that we are working with respect to this year. Okay. Okay. So we add for this period for direct material, we add 40,000. You can see that highlighted in Kion. We add 40,000 this year with respect to direct material, and we add 90,000 with respect to conversion cost. We've got this ending inventory, 3,000. I just showed you highlighted here, 3,000 that I couldn't finish. However, we finished 60% with respect to direct material. 60% of the 3,000 is complete with respect to direct material. Let's say, nuts and bolts are tightened up. They're 60% complete. Okay. And with respect to conversion cost, right there, let's assume this guy was working right there. With respect to labor, 20% complete at the end of the period. Okay. So now, first thing we do, we're gonna ask 3 questions here. A, determine the equivalent units with respect to that, all the stuff and all the inventory in the floor, and determine the equivalent cost per unit and journal entries. So we're going to follow in a step. So first thing we do, I already showed you the timeline. This is our timeline line. Okay. So this is our timeline. So, and this is the physical count, what we have in the floor. We started 2000 units. So we need to count what we have in the floor. So we have 2000 at the beginning, and then we add 20,000. Total is 22,000. Then we say, okay, well, we need to find out unit started. This is how it is different, okay? Unit is started and completed. Okay, how is it different? This is how it is different, okay? What unit is started. This is where the FIFO method is different, okay? They keep track of the cost separately, okay? So we started 20,000 units, okay, in this period, and then we had 3,000 units left, okay? I'm going to format this rows or column here with respect to financial or accounting. Okay, so now we had this 20,000, we started 20,000, we couldn't finish 3,000, therefore we completed from this period is, if we sum this up, that gives us 17,000 units, okay? We completed 17,000 units from this period. FIFO method assumes that these 2,000 units were worked, these 2,000 units completed before anything else. These 2,000 units completed before anything else. So unit completed, what you're trying to find out is unit is started and completed. So how much unit from this 20,000 units that we completed in this period? 17,000. If we add the total completed would be from the beginning, this 2,000 plus what we started and finished in this period, 19,000, okay? This is the total unit that we completed. But since the FIFO keep track everything separately, beginning and unit started in this period, we need to find out how many units we completed in this period, whatever we started. Then we find out the cost to date. Remember, FIFO is not interested in beginning cost. Okay, FIFO is not interested. Okay, so you're gonna take that off. Okay, FIFO is not interested. So you're gonna say cost added. Okay, we're gonna find out what is the cost added here with respect to this. Okay, so you're gonna copy these cells down here. Okay, so cost added with respect to DM, how much? So with respect to we are not dealing with this beginning because FIFO is not interested in this. FIFO is not interested. Okay, the blackout. FIFO is only interested in this. Okay, the cost added at this time. Later on, maybe. Okay. At this time, with respect to finding out the equivalent unit cost, FIFO is only interested with respect to cost added for now, okay? For now, for step 3, okay? So we're going to put DM 40,000 and conversion cost 190,000. So if that's the case, if this is the only cost added, then we have no other cost. Therefore, this is our total. We can say total cost added is, we can sum this up, and we can also do a that since there is no other since there are no other cost, this is the only cost you would have, right? Because you don't have any other cost, right? So if you had, you would have added them. Okay, so so this is our total cost. Okay, now we find out the equivalent units. And how do you find out? Here we need to put the beginning inventory unit started and completed and completed, uh, and then the ending inventory. So what is the beginning inventory that we have? We can just simply say this is what we have, 2000, and then we have the unit is started and completed. You're gonna need this row from here, unhide rows. So this is 17,000 is the unit that we started and completed. And the ending inventory, we know it's 3,000, but I'm going to reverse the polarity, okay? Because we're trying to find out the over here, all the cells are positive, okay? So now we could put this DM and CC over here, okay? And this is our total units, right? You could put units here, okay? So a physical count, you could say, some sort of physical count, okay? You could do that if that, if that helps you differentiate. Okay, so now we know. Now we could hide this back again because we don't need to deal with that. Okay, I'm gonna hide this. So you can directly work from here, okay? Remember? Now, we could keep this black. There's no problem with that. We could block it. We don't need to bring these cells up. So now we know the beginning inventory, this 2000 units, were only completed 80%, right? But this came from the last period, right? So what we do is we put 1, subtract this 80%. So this is the amount of work we've done in this period, okay? That is 400 units. Same thing we do, we multiply 2000 units with 1 minus 40% with respect to conversion cost. So what I mean by that is that this came from, this 80% was completed from the last period. So if we completed 80% last period, so if we take out the 1 minus 80%. So you only completed 20% in this period. So you'll see if we put 2000 here, and if you multiply this with with this with this 20%, 2000 and 20%, that is 400 units right there. Okay, these two cell match. I'm going to highlight that in crayon color. Okay, perhaps light blue. Okay, or if you don't like that, maybe you could do orange. No, you already have orange as well. We'll do red. Okay, same thing here. We had 2000 units, but with respect to conversion cost, we only, prior period, we finished this 40%, right? We only take what we completed in this period, okay? And that is 60%. So we just multiply this with this, okay? That is 1200 units. Let's give that a magenta color, okay? They match. Okay, so now we know our calculation is correct. Okay, with respect to the 17,000 units, we know they're complete 100%. So we could just put this 17,000 all across. Oops. This 17,000. And if you like, you could put a absolute reference to the cell. No need. Okay. Same thing. You could put this one here, or you could put this one. Okay. Same thing. Because we completed the entire 17,000 units, right? So we don't need to take percentage. With respect to these 3,000 units, the ending inventory, we completed this ending inventory, we completed this in this period. Therefore, we don't need to subtract it. We just simply multiply by 60%, right? We are only interested what you completed in this period, okay? Same thing, we multiply this with this 20%, the conversion cost. So how did you get that? We got 3000 multiplied by 60%. That gave us 1800, and 3000 multiplied by 20%. That gave us 600 units. Okay. Now we could do a vertical summation. Okay. And how do you do that? Okay. Do you match our physical unit match, right? 22,000 units. Okay. This is not our equivalent units. Okay. Not. Okay. So we don't need that. We're going to just simply block it out. Okay. Or you could just simply white it out. Okay. We don't need that. Okay. We're only interested in this. Okay. So now, but the reason we kept it here because we don't want to go back and forth. It's easier for us to understand. That's all. Okay. This is truly our equivalent units right there. Okay. The DM and CC. Okay. So you just simply you're not gonna add this. Okay. So that you don't get confused. So I'm going to add this column here vertically. Okay. And then same here. I'm going to add this. The Excel does automatically right there. Okay. 400 plus 17,000 plus 1800, that gives us 19,200 units. Same thing here, we've got 1,200 units, okay, that we completed in this period, 17,600 units. 1,200 plus 17,000 plus 600, that gave us 18,800. Okay, that's all. This is really our equivalent units. Okay, I'm going to block this cell with black color. Okay, so we don't make mistake. Okay, so this is our equivalent units, right? Now we find out the equivalent cost. And how do you do that? We know I'm going to unhide the rows so you can see now. In step 3, we just simply copy down this cost here, okay? But prior to doing that, or prior to that, we put the DM and CC there. And then what we do, total cost added in this period was 40,000. And for the direct material and conversion cost was 190,000. That's all. And the equivalent units, simple. We put this 19,200 with respect to direct material. With respect to conversion cost, the equivalent units were 18,800. Okay. With respect to now, we know our cost and we know our units. We just simply divide this. We divide the direct material cost by the direct material equivalent units. That would give us $2.08. Same thing. We divide 190,000 divided by the 190,000, the conversion cost, divided by the equivalent units, 18,800. That gives us $10.11. Okay. That is very simple. See, not so difficult at all. Okay. So this is our, I'm going to highlight that in Kaon because you're going to need that very soon. Okay. Now we do the same thing. You just copy down this DM and CC, the letters. Okay. And then what you do is you can also, we can also wrote the physical count here if you like, but we don't need that. Okay. So in this case, we know our unit completed. Beware of that. As you can see how WAC is different from the FIFO. Okay, I'm adjusting that. Okay. With respect to cost of goods sold, we need to have the beginning inventory cost. Okay. Beginning inventory cost. Okay. Oops. And then we can also, oh, actually, before I do that, just a second. So we would just simply get the beginning inventory cost because these costs were given to us right here. Okay. Here, remember I said at some point, we need to have this cell that we block out. We're going to now revive that into our color. Okay. So I'm going to keep that highlighted in black. Okay. So you know this is different. Okay. So 100,000 and 60,000. Okay. So you're going to get this 100,000 going up. And how do you do that? We just put the cell right there. Okay. And if you want to make it absolute, sure. Okay. And then same thing with conversion cost. We just go all the way up and follow this black cell. Okay. And we could put here total here. So we have a total. So you could just simply sum this. Okay. Simple as that. Okay. Now what we do is, now remember, this the cost came from the prior period. Okay. From prior period. And why are we adding that? Because remember the FIFO keep track of the cost separate, the beginning cost separate. FIFO does. Okay. What FIFO does, FIFO keep track of the cost separate. Okay. FIFO is interested, this cost came from prior period. So we'll write down cost came from prior period. Okay. And then what we have is that the This beginning inventory, how much it absorbed? Absorbed from this period, absorbed cost from this period. Okay, how much cost it took, to be completed. Remember, we have these 2000 units right there, that beginning in inventory that we only completed up to 80% right there. We only completed up to 80% with respect to DM, and with respect to CC, we only completed 40% in 2022. In this year, we had to do additional 20% with respect to direct material right here. Remember I showed this to you before. We had to finish 20% with respect to DM. And with respect to CC, we had to finish 1 minus. With respect to beginning inventory, we completed this in this period, okay? We completed this in this period. So what was the beginning inventory that we had? Okay, so we had beginning inventory right there. 400 in a step 4, okay? Perhaps I can make it more interesting for you. Okay, so you can calculate that separately, or you could calculate that here, okay? And how do you do that? We simply, I'll show that to you in a second, okay? So the beginning inventory direct material, we had 400 units, multiply by, we have a DM cost is $2.08. So this is $833 we used from this current period costing, okay? That's what we did, okay? And then we also had the beginning inventory with respect to 1200 units that we, with respect to conversion cost, 1200 units that weren't finished in the last period. We had to work on this in this period and our labors were used up. So we need to multiply that with respect to this $10.11 conversion cost right there. Okay, so really this is the cost highlighted in, I'm going to highlight this in magenta. The beginning inventory absorbed this much of cost. Okay, so if you really want to find this out, I'm going to show this to here. Okay, whatever the reason might be. Okay, so from this 233,000 right there, I'm going to highlight the cells here. Let's highlight that in a different color, maybe red. Okay. Okay, so these two highlighted cells shown in, you can see that I zoomed it up for you, 230,000 and 12,960. The beginning inventory, 2000 units right there. Okay, these 2000 units highlighted in red, these 2000 units right there used $12,960 from this current period cost, which is, which is in this case, 230,000. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to offset the cells. Okay, the cell color. We don't really need to have so many colors. Sometimes colors are helpful and sometimes they're confusing. Okay, we also, now what do we need to do? Now we need to find out the units started and completed. Okay, how much cost did it take? Okay, we know our DM was 17,000 units, equivalent units, and we multiply that by the $2.08. And then with conversion cost, we had again 17,000, and that 17,000 units that we completed in this period, we started and completed. These 17,000 units came from the 20,000 that we started in January 2023. Okay, multiply by this $10.11, that would give you this. So you could also add this up, sum, the horizontal summation. Okay, so that gave us 207,225.18. We can add this row over here, and that would give us, it's always good idea to bottom up. Okay, so this is the cost of the goods that ready for transfer. I'm going to highlight that in Kion. Okay, in Kion, $380,186.17. We completed with respect to Department 1 work. We finished our designing and carpentry. Now it needs, move to the Department 2. Now we can also, out of curiosity, we can find out how much direct material did that take. Okay, I'm going to highlight that in 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 magenta. Okay, we took $126,250 worth of direct material to complete the equivalent, the not the equivalent, the cost of goods that is completed and ready for transfer. Okay, same thing. We can ask this. Same thing in highlighted. I'm going to also highlight that in magenta as well. Perhaps I'm going to show that to you in blue first. Okay, $243,936.17. We use this much money with respect to labor and manufacturing overheads to complete this the cost, the total 19,000 units. Here we are not only, remember this highlighted here. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to highlight that in let's highlight that in each. Okay, and this row I'm gonna highlight that in light purple. Okay, you can see that. Okay, these used cost from current period. Okay, right, so these two row literally our beginning 2000 units, right? And this row was our 17,000 units. So total we have 19,000 units. We completed 19,000 units. Okay, I will show that to you. Okay, right there in a box. We can also move this away a little bit so we don't get confused. Okay, I'm gonna offset these cells. Okay, with respect to colors. Okay, we don't need so many colors. Okay, so we are only interested in this cell highlighted in cyan because we're gonna need that very soon. Okay, and I'm going to also change the color of this. We don't reset the color. Okay, right. Okay, so now okay, so now what we do, we move to ending inventory. Ending inventory. Oh, I promised that I was going to show you in a different way. Okay. Um, all right. So how do you do that? So you could say the ending inventory by units. by units, or maybe in units, okay, and then equivalent unit per cost. You could do the same way these ones as well, the completed cost of goods completed, okay. Okay, so now ending inventory right there, we completed 1800 units, okay, and with respect to conversion cost, we completed only 600 units, okay. So you could put the units there, and then you can also put the cost here from this count cell right there, okay, right. And then you could do this way as well, okay. You could follow the same pattern over here in here. So we multiply this with this. Do we need to do this way? No, we could just, reference the cell up. Okay, so we've multiplied 600 with this $10.11. That gives us the conversion cost. We could put a total sales column here. I mean, total, not total sales, but total column. And then we can sum this up. Okay, so now this is our ending inventory. We need that. We're gonna put that, we're gonna highlight that in count, okay? So far now we have our equivalent units, equivalent cost per unit, the cost of goods completed with respect to department 1 and ready to be transferred in department 2, which is the varnishing and finishing department. And we have the ending inventory cost, right? So you can see that right there, highlighted in count. You're going to need this cell over here, this $380,186. This would be your one of the journal entry. The goods are completed and transferred to the varnishing and finishing department. And with respect to the ending inventory, this number $9,813.83, this would go to your balance sheet, okay? Because an asset, right? You're going to also need, I'm going to also highlight this here as well. I'm going to highlight these cells also in Kian as well. This 160,000. Now what we do, now we move to our next step, step 8. In step 8, we have this DM. So how much DM we added? We can easily go back and reference that cell. And how do you do that? We added 40,000. Okay, so we could reference that. And the beginning, that how much we had, I already showed that to you here, right? That's why I highlighted that in crayon color. We have 160,000 in beginning inventory cost that came from the prior period. We would have to put that in with respect to, it's sitting there in our WIP designing and carpentry department. So you gotta put that in there, okay? This $160,000. And then the conversion cost, we added how much conversion cost we added, the labor and manufacturing overheads. Let's find out, okay? We just put the cell reference given in our information. We added 194,000. We could put that absolute cell reference, but we don't really need that. So now we know we've got our beginning cost, we've got our DM, direct material that we added, and then we have our conversion cost of 190,000. This goes to the left column on the T account. On the right column, what we have is that the cost of goods completed and ready for transfer, right? Because department 1 is now complete. Now they want to send that good to the finishing and varnishing and finishing department. What is the amount? That is $380,186.17. Okay. What we do now, we just sum this up the left side of the T account and subtract it from the right side, which is subtract it from the right side. So we sum this, the left hand side of the T account, and then we subtract it from the cost of goods that is completed with respect to Department 1 work and ready for transfer. That is $380,186.17. Okay, this to sell. Remember, that's why I have it in K. The ending inventory that we got by multiplying the equivalent units is exactly the same amount we found it on the T account. Therefore we know our accuracy. Therefore we know that our calculation is accurate and correct. Okay. With respect to journal entry, what we do now, we could complete the T account first. So the DM, we don't know how much it has there. So we'll just put X, 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 right? And then we could just simply put our direct material. How much was it? 40,000. We're going to credit that, okay? And then we don't know how much labor the company used. So you're going to put X, 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 X. And then we're going to credit the 190,000 that we added in this period, okay? With respect to WIP, designing and carpentry department, we need to credit that, right? We need to credit this amount, right? We already have, right? But this is actually this account here, so we really don't need to show that here, right there. But if you really want to see it, so you could just simply say uh, right there, we're going to credit that our designing and carpentry department by $380,186.17. At the same time, we need to debit that the WIP furnishing and finishing department, because these goods we transferred there now, it's an asset in their account. Well, not really asset sitting there, it's asset to the company. But anyway, just with respect to this T account. Now we come to our journal entry. So how do you do that? So we have this 40,000, the DM that we added. Okay. So to record the DM that we add, what we need to do, we need to debit the designing department with 40,000. Okay. And credit the raw material with 40,000, which is right here. You can see that. Okay. Credit the raw material. Okay. And then with respect to WIP, work in progress, designing and carpentry, with respect to conversion cost, labor, salary, wages, manufacturing overheads, we need to debit this by 190,000 because this is the cost that we put to the, we added to the pool. And now we are gonna credit the salary, wages, and manufacturing overhead with respect to CC. That is right here, 190,000. You can see that. And then what you do here is that the last step is that to record the cost of goods transferred. Okay. And how do you do that? We already done that in the T account, but we want to put that in writing, right? So usually in a real life, when you enter this journal entries, this number automatically goes in there in the T account. Okay. So now I showed you differently so you can get an idea. T accounts are easy to understand. Okay, so now we debit the amounts, the cost of goods that we're transferring, $380,186.17. We debit that because now that goods in their possession. The carpentry department, the designing department say, hey, we gave this to you. Okay, so we no longer have that. Okay, and that's why I credited this amount over there. Okay, $380,186. I don't need to show this to you separately right there. I'm going to highlight that in or maybe in yellow. I don't need to show this to you. It's already here. Okay. It's already here in green. Okay. Oops. It's the yellow section is right there. Okay. This is right there. But I thought I show you because this is the capture of that. Okay. I wanted to show you separately. That's what it is. Okay.